I don't usually like speculating, but I do like rage-baiting atheists, so here's a concept that I've thought about for a long time that I've never seen anybody else actually mention. And that's probably because a lot of theological apologists are optimistic in nature, or otherwise fundamentalists where they want to believe that things need God in order to exist, but I don't think that has to be the case. You can explain a lot of things without God. For example, whether or not you agree with it, obviously secularists have their own explanation of how the world came into existence without God. They think they can explain the physical world, its properties, and through this and through fields like game theory, we can even understand how morality can exist without God. The easiest example I could give is a society where everybody kills each other. In this society, everybody's going to kill each other and the society will cease to exist. Obviously, natural selection is going to favor societies that don't do that. And so, morality develops as a sociological adaptation. Even with the argument that I think best supports the existence of the supernatural, the argument of multiple discovery, you can say, oh, well, the reason the concept of God appears in these different cultures, the concept of heaven, hell, demons, angels, ghosts, what have you, it's because these are desirable archetypes. We want answers as to what happens when we die, or we want to believe in something greater, or maybe these religions split off from a common pre-Proto-Indo-European religion. I mean, that does at times get to the point where it's like, well, why does every culture report ghost sightings? Because mold? But the point is, you can explain all of these things with varying degree of certainty without the supernatural. Where the speculation comes into play, however, is I can look at that and say, okay, yeah, I can prove all of the natural things, I can prove all the good things, but how do we prove the bad things? If moral good is a naturally selected trait, then yes, function does not exclude dysfunction as many people incorrectly assume, but to make a long story short, dysfunction should be anomalous or vestigial. Think appendix and appendicitis, not something that acts in direct opposition of natural selection. So if cooperation is naturally selected, then why is its opposite not its absence or its mutation, but its exact opposite so prevalent throughout human history? And I'm sure people can offer up explanations, but the tinfoil hat of this is realizing that this is a big conspiracy. Just as we can look and see that there is something making people evil, there is something making people self-destructively stupid. When it comes to beliefs, just like the adaptations in a species, we should expect minor stratification. That most people agree on the same things, but have minor differences. And yes, we see this with reasonable people, but we don't see this with the rest of the population. Instead, we see almost like a psychic hive mind. When you take these people who would one week support the trans community and the next week support the terrorists who would throw them off of buildings, it's like you could blindfold them and have them take a true or false test and they would get every question wrong. But statistically, that's not how that works. They should get about 50%. In order to get the wrong answers, you have to know the right answers and avoid them. And yeah, for each individual group, we can say they believe this, they believe that, that's why they act that way. But at a certain point, why are so many people acting this way for different reasons? So I hope God exists because it seems like something's calling to them from the dark and feeding them really self-destructive ideology.